Zack Snyder is back in the news. We're going to tell you exactly what he said, and it involves a major character in the DC universe. We're going to get into that right now on the Sundowners Club. Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
The Snyderverse.
I'm not a huge fan. I know
He's back.
That might be an unpopular opinion.
So we may get some comments for people that Zack Snyder's got the.
He's done one good movie. It was 300. The rest of his movies have been mediocre to garbage, in my opinion.
Which makes the comments he made to the Hollywood Reporter, I don't understand if he just went off the rails and was just spitballing ideas that make no sense. But we're going to talk about what he said. So he's out promoting Rebel Moon. This is going to be his version of Star Wars, and we've seen the trailers for Rebel Moon. I don't know. I'm not all that excited. It seems a little much of a collage of a lot of different movies. So I don't know how much of an identity it'll have on its own. But nonetheless, Zack Snyder was speaking to the Hollywood Reporter, and while talking about Rebel Moon, he talked about James Gunn in the DC studios. And we're happy so far. We've talked about the casting for Superman Legacy. I think James Gunn's hit it out of the park so far. I'm excited for Legacy.
So far, I can't believe how it's been completely authentic.
Great casting.
Yeah. Every time he casts someone, I'm
and by the way,
surprised.
James Gunn, who had one of the only profitable movies at Disney Marvel in the last year with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
right,
and left the company, so now he's at DC. So Zack Snyder says, you know what? He supports James Gunn, and he would consider adapting a specific character and storyline, and it's none other than Frank Miller's graphic novel, The Dark Knight Returns.
Actually, I love that book.
He's an older, 60-year-old Batman, very gritty. The artwork is amazing, right?
It is. Yeah, it's a great book. But I mean, this is a guy who created an entire universe that failed miserably. So
it's really strange. And by the way, we know that
I'll consider coming back after I've lost you billions of dollars.
So, Snyder's a smart guy. He knows that Gunn is doing Brave and the Bold. And he knows that there's the Elseworlds with Robert Pattinson, which is coming out. What are you going to do, a third Batman?
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. Honestly, I think at this point, I mean, I liked the Pattinson Batman movie. I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but I think at this point, just out of cohesion, I think you need to have one Batman. Yeah, and his movie's doing well enough. He might as well just use him, but that's not what's going to happen. So I think having multiple actors play these characters simultaneously, I think it's just, I don't think superhero fatigue is actually a thing yet. I just think people are tired of
poor superhero fatigue.
Yeah, people are tired of agenda-driven movies that are bad. And but with this, I think that could really cause superhero fatigue. I mean, you got three Batmans.
You can't
rotating out. And
yeah, I mean, and look, I know that Zack Snyder supposedly has a good relationship with James Gunn. In talking to the Hollywood Reporter, he talked about, I called James Gunn when he got the job. I wished him all the best, told him I wanted it to work out for him. Yeah. So I think he's being sincere there. There's no reason to think he's not.
I just don't think he's got a good track record. I mean, I said one good movie. I actually did like Man of Steel. Okay, so
Man of Steel wasn't bad.
I'll give him two good movies.
Yeah, but, Henry Cavill. It was a shame they didn't do a follow up to that.
I didn't like Batman vs Superman. Jesse Eisenberg was
League of Justice was not good.
I thought it felt rushed, and a lot of his movies, they just kind of feel like they're.
But it's like
a 13-year-old wrote it. I don't know.
He mentions that he would want to return to the Dark Knight Returns. He would want to do that if it was a true representation of the graphic novel. Like, you had a chance to do that. You didn't do it.
No.
Like, I don't understand why.
Well, the suit that he uses in Batman vs Superman looks really just like the suit that he uses to fight Superman in
he took. Well, so for those that don't know, the Dark Knight Returns, he's like 60 years old, so he made him younger, but he does face off against Superman in that. So he took elements of that.
Yeah, he
for
took
Batman
the
versus
suit
Superman.
right out of that book.
No sense that you would say you want to revisit that and you'd be open to that. It's a very strange comment. I tend to think that
maybe if you got like Christian Bale back or something like that, or you know what I mean, like someone that we knew.
Yeah.
And you could act like that.
Christian Bale won't go back to Batman without Christopher Nolan.
That's true.
That's not happening. And so it's just, I feel like that he was kind of doing wish fulfillment It's almost like maybe I wish I would have done this when we did Batman versus Superman. If I would go back, I'd want to. But it just doesn't make any sense. And I thought it was weird. We've talked about this before. When you're out promoting a project like Rebel Moon, which he needs to work, when these people interview and you ask questions, you got to be disciplined enough to go back to what you're here there to talk about. Mm. And so, not necessarily telling them, "Look, I'm not here to talk about the DC universe or Batman or James Gunn." I'll leave that.
Well,
to them.
I don't mind that people entertain the ideas, and it's a different time now with social media and everything. Everybody picks up on every word you say, but
James Gunn, I trust James Gunn.
I love how he deals with the media, though. Like if something's not true, he's like,
not true.
That's not happening,
right?
So
we've covered stuff that's been out there, and he's not debunked all of them, but he'll debunk pieces of it.
Yeah.
So he'll speak a little bit in code, saying not accurate, without saying the whole thing is false.
Right.
Which is, it's fine that Gunn does that, but thought that was newsworthy. We've been covering Superman Legacy. We just got the casting of Lex, and we got Jimmy Olsen, which was great casting, right?
I think so far it's been perfect.
And so true to the comics, I think Nicholas Hoult is going to, I'm very interested to see what he does with Lex, where they bring that character in with the whole involvement of the Authority around Superman Legacy. I trust James Gunn with where he's going to go with Batman. And I actually don't mind the way they've set up Elseworlds to have Pattinson play that version of Batman. But I got a sense that...
It's just confusing, though.
I got a sense they're not going to do 3 or 4 of those movies. I think we're getting one more. I don't know how many more we're going to get.
It was
now,
already,
if it does
I think
$1
it
billion,
was already greenlit before
right.
he took over.
And if it does over $1 billion, then they might do a third one. But I think they're going to wrap it.
There's just a lot of missed opportunities there. I mean, you had that movie did well. You had the Joker movie do well.
Right.
I mean,
but they weren't really tied in very much.
But how dumb is what a missed opportunity that is
to bring in Joaquin Phoenix and Robert Pattinson. Yeah, that's true.
And those worlds kind of feel like they fit
similar
in a way. So I mean, I don't know. I just think that's
Kravitz did a great job. Look, I liked Batman. I thought it was a good version.
That was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. That's one thing DC's gotten wrong though is they've never really been able to build upon what they've done well, right? And it really started off with the Nolan Batman films. I mean, those movies were huge, right? And then at the same time, you had Marvel building out the Avengers. Well, instead of DC building upon the Nolan Batman films, they just rebooted everything, and now that universe died, and they're gonna have to reboot it again. So, I don't know.
Nolan brought Batman back, and I think James Gunn's gonna bring Superman back.
Yeah, so he's gonna have to bring Batman back too.
So
that's
and
I mean those are your two in terms of popularity. Batman's bigger than Superman. I mean,
now James Gunn will not be directing Brave and the Bold, so
but he'll have something to do with the casting. I think.
Yeah, for sure. He'll oversee it. So, final thoughts. Zack Snyder basically just talking nonsense.
I'm not a huge Snyder fan.
It doesn't make any sense. No. But it is newsworthy when he starts talking about, I would go back if they let me do this. And Zack Snyder and James Gunn are two big names.
Yeah, I don't think it would happen.
Yeah, don't see it happening. Don't think it should happen. Don't want it to happen. And let us know, what do you think? Are you a Zack Snyder fan? Did you like the Snyderverse? Did you think that he should be able to keep that going? Did you think that it didn't work? Are you happy that James Gunn has taken over DC and what James Gunn's doing so far with the casting of Superman Legacy? What are your thoughts around The Dark Knight Returns? Was that something that you would want to see, an older 60-ish old Batman fighting those fights? What do you think? Leave us your comments below. While you're doing that, smash the like button, hit the notifications bell for our future content, and most importantly, do us a favor and hit subscribe so that we can continue to grow our content and TCB.